everyone. Welcome to Sintra or Bust, our Best of Portugal tour. Now, over the past 5 weeks, we've covered about 4,000 miles across northern Spain and Portugal. We've been on every type of road from motorway to mud tracks, and we've ridden in everything from biblical rain to 40-degree blinding heat.
Welcome back to Sintra or Bust. Mike and I were in good spirits as we were headed to Porto in a couple of days, hopefully to hook up with our wives Mandy and Pauline. Steve's wife Penny was due to meet us a little later in Lisbon. It's a pity there was no possibility for Penny to pop over to Porto to participate in the party with Pauline, and of course the rest of us whose names unfortunately don't alliterate. We first headed inland from our overnight stay in Vilapuca de Aguiar, then set off to explore the Douro Valley. By now we'd really settled into the tour. The weather was fantastic, the roads were great, and there was very little traffic about. From Vilapuca we climbed steadily upwards until we reached a viewpoint over the river Tua. The viewpoint, Ujo, sits about 1,000 metres above sea level in the Torre de Moncorvo. It's a bit of a trek, but well worth the effort for the far-reaching views it affords along the river. And even as we climbed, we were treated to views that were truly spectacular and belonged in a film set.
Today's day 8, we found ourselves at the Miradouro Da Ujo, which overlooks the Tua River. And it's time to try a few steps and a view that may be not for the faint-hearted. It is actually a little windy up here, I have to say. So sorry if the camera's getting a bit wobbly. This is a view over the Tua River. Fantastic, well worth the climb. On bikes, obviously.
When I'm on a foreign tour, I like to feel that I'm separated from home for a while, and I generally turn my messages off. On this occasion though, I didn't mind getting a text from my mate Tony, which was short and sweet and basically told me that my house hadn't burned down while I was away. The afternoon brought perfect roads and plenty of sunshine. This was getting to be a habit. We descended from the viewpoint, riding down to river level, and then rode a meandering route through those familiar handcrafted vines that are a ubiquitous feature of the Douro Valley. And crossing this dam gave us the opportunity to film a little bit of creative B-roll to use in our intros. And because this was a purely riding day and there was very little traffic about, we took a little time out to have some fun with the bends. We didn't have any spectacular set-piece tourist sites to visit today, but our stay for the night would take us into somewhat unfamiliar territory. We were headed for the village of Santa Amaro, which is very rural and located, frankly, in the middle of nowhere. At this stage, the guys had become a little used to nice hotels, and to be honest, we were getting a bit spoiled. There was no restaurant in the village, so it was down to us to pick up some food and cook it for ourselves. However, our lodging for the night was listed as a spa hotel, so there was maybe some hope of being pampered after all. It's great fun to let loose on the open road from time to time, but sooner or later, a guy's got to eat. As the afternoon drew to a close, we went in search of some shops.
I'm going to quit.
We stopped in the nearby village of Villanova, and after wrestling with the sat-nav for a while, found a small supermarket.
So we want groceries. What do you mean, tell to move my device? It's attached to a bike. I'm trying to get it to give me an accurate reading, and it says tell to move my device. Oh right, so there's an eco marsh. Yeah, up the top and turn right somewhere, yeah?
Loaded up with pizza and beer, an evening meal of champions, we set off in search of our hotel.
I think this is the link road, just go down here nice and gently.
Well, this road does seem pretty rural, so we've got to be on the right route.
Big back way job.
We were all getting a bit tired by this stage, and I remembered that old adage that most accidents happen close to home. I guess the same applies when you get close to your hotel in the evening. I guess they don't see too much traffic down here, but assuming the road is empty is never going to be the safest of choices.
Nope.
We found ourselves headed ever upwards in pursuit of the village of Santa Amaro, and eventually found cobbles, of course. I knew that Santa Amaro would be on the quiet side, but aside from the folks that we passed on the way in, we seemed to be the only inhabitants of the village overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were staying in a house rather than a hotel, and when we turned up, it was completely empty. I phoned the owner, and she came down to show us around. We then found that there was somewhat of a language barrier. She had no English, so instead spoke French at the speed that only a Spaniard could muster. I got the gist of it, and we settled in, although I discovered that the advertised spa related to a blow-up jacuzzi. That wasn't working. Luckily, There was a small bar in the village, so we could get Mike a cold beer. That's the face of pure contentment. After filling ourselves up with pizza and beer, we settled down for a comfortable night's kip in this most peaceful of settings. That was, if you didn't count the church, which was right next door to us, and whose bells rang every hour on the hour, right the way through the night.
Bless, surrenders. That's 9 o'clock, I think. That'll be 9 o'clock.
Slightly worried because the next turn is...
So it's day 9 of our grand tour of Portugal, and it's a special day as Mike and I are off to meet our wives in Porto. We leave Santa Amaro via a series of rough cobbled streets and head out into the countryside.
the wrong side of the road.
It was early morning, we hadn't quite woken up yet, and almost immediately we were given a road-based wake-up call in the form of loose sand lying on the bends of this minor road. But once we'd ascended to the top of the hill, the road evened out, and the view was just magical.
Miles per hour and it is out of the way.
As we head westward towards Porto, we're treated to a succession of dramatic vistas in every direction.
Because I found out quite a lot of it was really vibrant on the bottom of the valley. Then I could see it a lot.
Eventually, we found ourselves running along the river Douro, which means we're headed in the right direction and not too far away from the coast. Time enough then for a quick pit stop and to stretch our legs. In Peso Da Regua, we found two major bridges and a pedestrian walkway. The furthest bridge is the Ponte Miguel Torga, a huge concrete dual carriageway construction named in honour of one of Portugal's greatest 20th century writers. Built in 1997, it's 900 metres long and it sits nearly 100 metres above the ground. Concrete engineering is often square and boring, but this bridge won a prestigious international award for its innovative construction and design. It's a bridge, yes, but it's also a work of art. A little closer and smaller, but no less captivating, is the Ponte Rodoviaria da Regua. Built in 1934 as a railway bridge, it was later converted for vehicular use. And finally, a pedestrian bridge, the Ponte Pedonal Metallica da Regua, which was built in 1872. It's a relaxing spot from which to take a stroll over the river, and it's popular with tourists and locals alike. When you're on a long tour, it's good to take a break from the bike, and a little walk in the sunshine doesn't hurt either. Break time over, we made our way onto the famous N2 tourist route. The N2 is a favourite for visitors to Portugal, as it's easy to follow and provides a scenic backdrop to any bike tour. The N2 being a fairly straight route wasn't ready for us, and in fact we found ourselves using very little of it, so today was an exception. In fact, I only realised that we'd joined the N2 when we pulled over to stop for a coffee on the way to Porto. We had a great chat with a cafe owner who was really enthusiastic about bikes using the route, and that's great to see when you're touring abroad. After a quick pit stop, it was full steam ahead to Porto, using roads that were much more purposeful than our standard fare. Unbeknown to the lads, I planned to take a little detour off route to the town of Amarante, where I planned to buy a little gift for Pauline and Mandy. Leaving the kids in their creche for a while, I made my way into town. I took my time, as Amarante is a fantastic old Roman town with some lovely buildings and an impressive church. On the way back, I found a patisserie and purchased a couple of treats for the girls, who were of course waiting excitedly to see us, with only the drinks menu to keep them company. Time then for the big reveal.
Really?
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm having that big one. With the smaller testicles. You can have those that look like they've been.
I know, I can't help it, I'm an incurable romantic. Join us in the next episode, where the 5 of us switch into full-on tourist mode to take in the plentiful attractions of Porto. And seeing as you're here, please don't forget to like and subscribe. We don't make any money out of these videos, and it really does make a difference.